Hello, I'm Nikita Morel, a copywriter and marketing strategist for architects, and welcome to day 24 of 30 architecture website fixes in 30 days. Today we'll be looking at how over-designing your website can lose you clients. Okay, let's get started. So here we have Aiken Atelier. As you can see, when you hop onto their homepage, you are met with some very random icons. You've got a pizza slice, a rat, a lobster. But then as you put your mouse over each, you realize, oh, they're projects, each with their own name, that which very cleverly begins with AA, as you can see. A simple idea, a steadfast approach, a reconnection to the Adelaide Hills. So that AA, obviously, tying back to their name, Aiken Atelier. Very clever, right? Well, it can also be very frustrating because these are not universal symbols. Therefore, it takes brain power for your prospective client to decode and realize what they're actually representing. And you don't really know until you scroll your mouse over each. So here's why 80% of your website needs to be like other architects. When designing your website, you need to keep your ideal prospective client in mind. And whether you like it or not, your prospective clients already have a mental image of what an architecture practice website should look like. They call this prototypicality. So put simply, it's just a mental image your brain creates to categorize stuff, which means if your website looks familiar and similar to other architecture websites, your prospective clients have less trouble using it. Back to this idea that familiarity evokes trust. And put simply, your prospective clients have expectations, and it's your job to meet these expectations so they can find what they need easily and quickly. So just remember this, prioritize effective over clever. And in this case, in Aiken Atlier's case, I think the cleverness obscures the intent of their service a little. Another mistake I see is architecture practices with unclear naming on their website, particularly their navigation bar. So here's an example. So I've got Andrew Simpson Architects, and as you can see, it's a nice clean website, but their navigation bar presents more questions than it does direction. You've got live small, live large, work, play, think. And with such subjective and abstract phrases, there really is no knowing what lies beyond these links unless you click them. And that takes time. Time which your prospect most likely does not have. And clever language just puts more hurdles in the way of your prospective client and reduces their chances of them taking action, which is reaching out or giving you a call. So I know work and play are commonly used terms in the architecture world, but I'm a bit skeptical whether it holds up in a navigation bar, especially when audience are not architects. So I believe any language or your naming scheme for your service should be descriptive rather than suggestive or metaphoric. So just be very clear on what you actually mean. So you need to ask yourself, would property developers, government reps, individuals, whoever your ideal client audience, would they understand these terms immediately? If not, ditch the creative clutter. Confusing prospective clients is never going to get you anywhere. So let me show you just a quick example of a firm that I think is being a little too clever. So when you click on Architecton's homepage, you're met with dispersed links. But here's the thing, when your prospective client visits your website, they expect to find a horizontal navigation across the top or even a vertical navigation down the left-hand side. Putting your navigation in standard places makes your site easier to use. That means a lower bounce rate, more pages per visit, and higher conversions. Your goal is to help people find the content easily and quickly, not show them a cool way of navigation. As you can see, they're all dispersed out here. So, and whilst we're on the topic of navigation menu, a little note is that items that appear first or last on any list are most effective. So navigation is no exception. So psychology studies show that attention and retention are highest for things that appear at the beginning or at the end. And I think this is called the serial position effect, and it's based on these principles of primacy and recency. So what this means is put your contact call to action at the end and perhaps your about or projects at the beginning. So remember the first and the last. And I just will add this, there is one exception to all these rules that I've just said. If you are Jacques Ingalls, then you can do whatever the hell you like. No, but seriously, when you reach this kind of reputation and this status of quote unquote a starchitect, then you can afford to be a little bit more creative. His website looks like something out of a 1990s video game, but actually surprisingly it can be navigated quite easily, and the functionality isn't sacrificed as much as you think it would. Or maybe I'm just a huge fan of his. Anyways, moving along, what I'll do is I'll finish with an example of a practice that has, in my opinion, has successfully married clever with being creative and a little bit different with functionality as well. And they are Matter Architects. So as you can see, Matter Architects, the name shifts and changes. It's dynamic, it's different, it grabs your attention, yet it doesn't take away from the functionality and focus of the site. The navigation bar is positioned neatly up the top, although I will say two things, is that they should definitely have a contact us call to action. I think that's missing. And perhaps these references could be changed to testimonials for a little bit more clarity. But still, overall, it's beautifully presented. You scroll down and you see our latest work. It's got a grid with a nice little description. The About section also gives a nice summary and bio with each. So I think it's just, yeah, it's beautifully done. But one last thing I'll just quickly mention is a big piece of advice. Do not put your social media icons on your header. They are like exit icons. Social media traffic is great, but only if it's flowing towards you. So people get distracted. They'll immediately just want to click and see your Instagram or your Facebook. So when visitors leave your site and go to a social network, that doesn't help you meet your goals, and I don't know whether they'll come back. So keep that in mind. And let me finish with saying with this. Look, I hope I didn't sound or come across as the website design Grinch. By no means am I a website designer. And please go ahead and be creative. But all I'm saying is don't do this at the expense of functionality. Don't frustrate your ideal prospective clients. When a visitor arrives on your site, you need to meet their expectations. So yeah, there's a lot more examples I'd love to share today, but I guess we'd be here for lots more hours. So if you want to see more great architecture websites, be sure to subscribe to my emails. So just hop onto my website, nikitamorel.com, scroll down and enter your details in the free guide box. I send out lists of inspiration architecture websites from time to time. So yeah, be sure to sign up and be sure to come back tomorrow for day 25.